I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never shook, baby.
I know you had a strenuous day at the office
Yeah.
because you're a suit now. I was going to jokingly say, are you going to eat on the show?
Is that okay?
No.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm almost done.
People don't like, I don't care, but people don't want to listen to you eat.
I know.
We were just
I'm
talking.
almost done. I didn't have much time to eat. And
Well, at least tell everyone what you're eating.
It's smoked uncured ham, Oscar Mayer.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're just eating ham.
Yeah.
All right, we'll cut this.
Yeah. No, we won't. This is gonna be like the entire episode. It's just like three and a half minutes of me eating
This will
ham.
be the episode. Episode's out early this week.
Yeah. So tonight I'm going to the Hollywood Bowl to see 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh,
And the LA Philharmonic is playing with all the classical music.
That's kind of coincidental.
Yeah. How so?
How so? Did you read the article that you sent to me?
Oh yeah, the ugly. Yeah. Actually, it is very timely.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Are you done shoving cured meats in your face?
No, I'm not done. I'm like halfway done. But so yeah, so this is an interesting thing. So we haven't really talked much about architecture.
I got very excited when he sent me this because I love architecture.
Yeah,
me
too. So I thought this would be a fun little thing to riff on. So this is in the New Yorker. This came out pretty recently, August 1st. So yeah, so I never knew about this building, this ugly ass building in Paris.
To be honest, I kind of didn't either, and I've been there several times.
Right.
I was there about 11 months ago, or more like about 13 months ago.
Right.
I should say 13, 14 months ago, and the article is in defense of the Tour Montparnasse, which is the Tower of Montparnasse.
No.
It is gargantuan.
Yeah.
Like it is so strikingly large, and somehow when you sent that to me, and I was like, if you just told me Tour Montparnasse, I would have been like, wait, I think I know what that is. And then when I saw it, I didn't click. It didn't register. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
It's almost so big you don't notice it. I don't know. That's obviously it's obviously counterintuitive, but it's this gigantic monolith in the Montparnasse neighborhood of Paris, which used to be a very bohemian neighborhood. And why I made the joke earlier about, you said 2001: A Space Odyssey. They call it, the writer calls it Kubrickian, because it's like the monolith in 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is a pretty accurate. Somehow the monolith is more beautiful than this building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so absurd. It's so absurd. We can dive into this architecture generally that we like, but this one, I did not find this. I feel like this was a misnomer for the title. What was the defense?
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be the author defending it. I thought it was going to be kind of a pretentious take.
Yeah,
of
me too.
We need more ugly ass buildings destroying our culture because this. I thought I was expecting something like that.
Yeah.
The defense seemed to mostly come from. They cited a book about the building. It's called La Tour Montparnasse, 1973 to 2013, because it's the 50th anniversary.
Right.
So they were just citing quotes of architects and historians defending the building. But even then, they included quite a few critiques of the building as well. It seems like they mentioned in the article that most of the people who are defending it are architects.
Yeah, which is but even then, what were I read this, I skimmed some of it, but I read it, but it says many of those quoted in the book who express appreciation for the tour of Montparnasse. Oh, sorry, because this thing's loading. It just are basically architects. Is the end of that sentence. But he doesn't really say what the defense is, does he? I think it's an indefensible building. I think it sucks. I'm also not like, I don't think like anything that doesn't have a certain style sucks. Like, I don't think that. In fact, I want to talk about what the writer also discusses. The author also discusses is the Boston City Hall, which is called, it's a brutalist style. I actually kind of like it. I think brutalism can be done really well.
Yes.
And I could see also a city like Boston, that's like one of our most historic, it not fitting in. So maybe in the, wider kind of panorama, the mise en scène of Boston, people hate it, but like just the building itself, I think it's okay. I think it's a lot more defensible than the Tour of Montparnasse. Also, Paris is my favorite city. A lot of that is the architecture. It's one of those cities that's like gorgeous in dreary weather. I just like random streets. I love the kind of cities I love are ones where like, it has landmarks that are great. Like I do like the Eiffel Tower. I love Notre Dame. I love the Arc de Triomphe. But just like random streets are beautiful. Just like, I know it's turned down a street and it's gorgeous. So to put this slab of just there's like a giant black cock in the middle of this like gorgeous city is so absurd to me. I don't even know how it got made. Because a city like Paris, I feel like would be so protective of this kind of shit. And did they talk about the history of it, of like how it got made?
Yeah, it was that part got a little boring for me, but it was basically part of like a sort of urban renewal project. Which is funny because it kind of coincided with like, because like in the post World War II era of France, there was a lot of cultural, like, it was very bohemian, and that's where artistically it was kind of going through a bit of a renaissance, like the 50s and early 60s, and then like for whatever reason people were like, no, we need to put a stop to that. And so it does talk about how like they got rid of a lot of buildings that were that housed a lot of artists and bohemians, and to make way for this ugly ass piece of shit, which is kind of ironic in a way. It's like, no, this is art, not what you guys are doing. It's like,
it's that's a big thing on Twitter, or maybe that's just like the kind of accounts I follow. And you sent me one of those where it was like made by like several PhDs, and it's this like pretty ugly, gutless, characterless building, and then it'll be like built by illiterates in the 1300s, and it's like gorgeous,
like these
like with lots of character. And I don't know, I feel like I see that a lot. I mean, some of it, and like some of the art that comes out now is so fucking terrible. Like some of the stuff, it's almost like it has contempt for the viewer. A lot of these like statues that go up, buildings wise, I understand like a lot of buildings also, they can't just be pure art. They they have to have functionality. They have to be an investment. But still, like, so did buildings all the time. They also had to house whatever it is, venues or housing or offices or whatever it was. What I always say, why I like the city of Chicago a lot, is because their big buildings are really pretty. A lot of them, like, they have character. They're like, that's not the same in New York. Like, New York has the Chrysler Building, has the Empire State Building. Those are beautiful. I think the World Trade Center is fine for a new age building. It's okay. But a lot of it, like, that's not the beautiful parts of New York. Beautiful parts of New York are the Village, the brownstones, uptown brownstones, or the Upper West Side, the Brooklyn brownstones. Like, that's really nice. Some parts of the Seaport, downtown. It's not the big buildings. It's not the skyscrapers, where I think Chicago, like, and that's like, they wanted, the forefathers of Chicago wanted that to be the case. Like, they want it to be a beautiful city, a powerful city,
Yeah.
an American city.
Yes.
And I appreciate that. I don't know why there's not more of that. I think the answer is probably labor and material,
Right.
but still, it still kind of sucks that there's not more. I was actually just talking about this today, and now I'll stop on my tangent. But I was just talking about this today, where my fiance and I were talking about the super wealthy and what's going on with like cities, and is New York kind of going through the same thing it was going through during the Depression or the Gilded Age. And what I said was, at least back then, like at least in the Gilded Age, yes, some of these robber barons were like horrible. Horrible to laborers, horrible, they were greedy, whatever. But a lot of them like loved their cities and they wanted to impress people. They built museums that benefit the public. They wanted to impress. Like they gave a shit. Where now a lot of the super wealthy, these cities are just playgrounds. Yeah, like it has nothing to do, and I think that sucks. Yeah, like the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the JP Morgan, like they loved their cities. Yeah, they loved New York. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And when getting back to this ugly ass building in France, it's like, it's so simplistic. And like, I'm not an architect, so like it's easy for me to criticize, but it's just, for me, like, a philosophy that I try to operate by with my own creative hobbies is if anybody can do it, then don't do it. Which is like, if interesting, yeah. Which is sort of like, don't go for the cliche, don't go for the low hanging fruit. If you're going to create something, explore something, like put some effort into it, and create details that other people would not be able to create, that you can create. So kind of tying back into that thing of like, like city forefathers, from a century ago, where it's like, well, yeah, we're going to build some new buildings, but like let's go the extra mile. Let's create an identity that separates us from other major metropolitan areas. But this, like, yeah, like, just kind of a big straight black buildings. Like, yeah, like there are plenty of these brutalist modernist buildings all over the place. Like, why would you want, and especially why would you put that in France? And like kind of like you said, where it's like, I don't necessarily hate brutalist architecture. I think it can look right it can look good in the right setting, but putting it in such a aesthetically pleasing place as Paris, like, just seems like a huge fucking middle finger.
Or you put it in, like, you have like a designated downtown area or something, like business district. But like, I understand, because what does annoy me, and I'm going to kind of defend quote unquote like ugly cities here, is when like an American will go to an example of this is always Milan, like Milan, Italy. They'll go to Milan. I'll be like, oh, it's not a pretty city. But it's like, yeah, but Milan was also, first of all, it does have a gorgeous cathedral. And Milan was also a hub of like industry. Like they made weapons there, and now they make garments and they make fashion. And it's like, that's always been Milan's identity. And other countries, like, they don't exist just for you to go on vacation. Right. Like they, and I think that's what's really cool too. Like I remember walking down a street in Milan, and I feel bad about this. I've become a lot softer, more, what's the word? Like, I've become a lot more like sensitive to animals in the past few years. But I remember seeing like this guy working on like a gator skin just hanging out of a window in Milan. It's like dyed blue. You can still see its little foot like hanging there. Yeah. And but it's like, you tell that's going to be turned into a purse or something. Right. Like how fucking cool is that? Yeah, like this guy is like toiling away on this handmade, probably a handbag or pair of boots or some other garment or piece of clothing. Like that's what's cool about Milan. Yeah. Like I'm sorry that it doesn't have, the Duomo like Florence has, or the Colosseum like Rome has. Like, and I don't know, I always kind of defend places like that. Yeah. Yeah. So I forgot what I was saying with how do we get on that?
I was talking about like, cities having like their own character and
yeah. So right. So Paris is a aesthetically like gorgeous city for them to put. Right. So that's what I was saying. Like it stands out. It's like this big middle finger, and it's so absurdly huge that it looks like horrible. Like it makes everything around it look it shrinks the entire city. Yeah. And I do think that was really stupid. Now, brutalism, coincidentally, I was recruited by a school called UMass Dartmouth. So it's one of the University of Massachusetts schools, obviously in Dartmouth. Massachusetts, and it's known for having ranked like the ugliest campus in America because it's all brutalist design, it's all brutal architecture, and I think that's very funny. I think it would be kind of cool. Like, I don't know, maybe that's been revisited and it's like, well, it's unique. Like, at least it has character to it.
Sure.
But compared to the quaint New England colleges of Massachusetts and New Hampshire and Rhode Island and Vermont, like I could see that not being attractive at all. But I would also own it. Like, I do think that's kind of cool because I would rather have, I think kind of this is the same thing you were saying. Like, I'd rather have something that goes for like has a mission. Like, we're gonna make this a brutalist campus. Yeah, right. Instead of being like a Mod Podge of like whatever, like no identity, basically identityless. School, or just like a cookie cutter school. Like, I'd rather walk into a bar that is a little like beat up. But it's authentic. It's got like a real jukebox. It's got like real weathered photos, even if maybe it's a little grimy. Then you walk into like the Irish pub that you buy from a catalog. That's like that's an actual thing, by the way. I don't know if you know that or know that. Oh, you didn't know that? That's like an actual thing. Like, you can basically order an Irish pub. Like, if you want to open a bar, right? Like, so all this shit comes from like warehouses. Like, it's not authentic. So I'd rather, and you can kind of tell I feel like there's a lot of these in New York City and like Midtown. Some are authentic, sure, but some are like, a lot of it's just like bullshit you buy in a warehouse. And,
I hate that. And I say that as someone who loves like that sort of pub style.
Oh, me too. Authentic ones are the best. Like, I love a pub, but these are just like, this is just, we're gonna call it, you know, Mick whatevers, and we just order it. It's the same shit on the walls, and that's it.
So I went to a small Jesuit university. It's called Santa Clara University, and what was cool about it is that, you know, it always got a lot of compliments for its architecture, because it was a missionary school. That's what they taught there. No, you know, it was where, you know, because of Jesuits,
the way God intended it.
Exactly. Yeah.
We don't deviate here. We're coming here to get it done.
But you know, a lot of the buildings, even some of the newer buildings, they still had a sort of like this Adobe brick style. So even if it was still modern, but it's like, we're still kind of paying homage to you know, the school's roots, where, you know, we these Jesuits force Native Americans to build these buildings,
slaughtered, and then force converted them. Hey, I love the Jesuits.
But so I like the idea. You know, even when we have a new building, it's still going to be very much in that style. So it's like, okay, that's cool. Like, I like that. They still try to maintain some sense of identity. That I like that it for centuries.
I like that you brought that up, actually, because one of our traditions that we do, my fiance and I do, we go to Wildwood, New Jersey every summer. Have you ever heard of Wildwood?
No.
So Wildwood is great because it has an identity. It is known for it's all like mid-century modern architecture. It's all about doo-wop. Like, they literally have a doo-wop museum there.
Oh, cool.
Like Chubby Checker was there a lot, and I always forget his name. Not Valens, not Richie Valens. He was a Jersey
Big
boy,
Bopper.
No, not
Richard.
them. No.
What were those old 50s guys?
Exactly. It's that 50s look, neon signs, you know, drive-throughs, like the diners look that way. And what's really cool is they passed a law where, and a lot of that was authentic, like that's why it was that. But then they passed a law that even new buildings have to keep that aesthetic. So like the Wawa is that too, which is really cool. Do you know what Wawa is?
No, what's that?
Oh my God, dude! When you visit, we're gonna go there. Wawa is like a regional chain. It's from a town called Wawa, Pennsylvania. It's like Delaware, like Southeast Pennsylvania. So they're real big in Southeast Pennsylvania and South Jersey, where I live. But now they've expanded. They might be in other parts of the country, but this is like Wawa country. They're how do I explain a Wawa? It doesn't give them enough credit to call them like a convenience store, because they have like great sandwiches, coffee, snacks, you know, obviously like cigarettes, candy, but it's like nice. It's like not a 7-Eleven. It's like much nicer.
Was it like those old fashioned like drugstores where it's like you get like a soda pop sort of thing, where it's like, we got a soda counter, we got a pharmacy?
Well, no, it doesn't have the counters. It's not like that. Like that would be more of a diner, which are also big in New Jersey. Well, it's like something in between.
Okay.
It's really great. They're like 20, I think they're usually 24 hours, if not very late. Like we went a ton in college. Like that was our drunk food. Where a lot of people do like, I don't know, burgers or diners or pizza or whatever. Like we did Wawa.
Yeah.
They are, for Pennsylvania people listening, they are much better than Sheets. Don't even get me started. I'm shots fired. Sheets are not nearly as good as Wawa. So that's going to be like 3 listeners going to be like, yo, what? You know what that shit is? But I'll take you to, there's a Wawa like down the street here. There's one like over there. So when you visit, I will take you, but they're great. Anyway, so yes, it's just like, so Wildwood. So it's a beach town. Like it's on the beach. So it's boardwalk, classic board. Like you walk on the boardwalk, there's like, what I love about it, there's like a little chapel there next to like a dirty t-shirt shop, kind of like on Venice Beach. Right. But it has like, so there's a lot of character like that. And then it has a lot of like funky diners, cool, just like old. It's known for the hotels actually. So the hotels and motels is known for having, like all mid-century modern space age hotels and stuff called, you know, the Skylark or the Oceanic and these sorts of places. I'll send you, actually, someone did a good article on the hotels of Wildwood, and I'll send it to you. And it's very cool.
Okay, cool.
So anyway, that's the same thing. Like you're saying, like keeping an identity, I think is important, or everything's just going to look like boring suburbia or boring. Like now there's that urban kind of look. They're seeing a lot of places that's it's practical but like kind of soulless. Yeah. And I did watch a video about it, how it's like, look, it looks like this, but it is cheap and it gets like low income housing and affordable housing. I'm like, okay, we do need that. Like that's good. Yeah. But you're seeing this in like every city in America. And actually the one they focused on, the video focused on, was like right here in New Jersey. In Camden, but so this actually reminds me. So Bill Burr, I don't know if he still does this, but he used to do this thing where he would like whenever he would go to a city, he would like record himself or have a friend record him just like going through the city and like checking out some of the main spots, and then like just he's ripping on the city. And so he did it in San Jose, which is cool for me because like, you know, I'm from San Jose, and so he's going to places that I'm very familiar with. So we had the shopping center called Santana Row, which is it's like very modern, very stylish. It's like you know, very, very, very luxury oriented, but like the storefronts, they're interesting where it's like it's kind of going for like the sort of, you know, old European style, but still very modern and stylish. I don't know if there's much of that on the East Coast, but it's like, and it's like it's nice and stuff, but it's also, you know, it's very cookie cutter because there are a lot of shopping centers in California that are like that. And so Bill Burr, like he's driving through and then he's like, oh yeah, these stupid new shopping centers where it's meant to look old, but it's also really expensive though, so it doesn't look. So he's just ripping on, and so he's driving through downtown San Jose and just like ripping on everything, and he goes, yeah, my wife keeps saying, hey, you stop being so mean. I'm like, yeah, well, it pays for the house, but yeah, it's good. What is like a landmark of San Jose? Like I can't think of any.
We don't have any. We don't have any identity really. oh no, we do. Okay, we do have this park that's in the center of the city, and like there's this like snake statue because I guess because we're all like Aztec, Mayan stuff, but it's just like a big pile of shit because it's just like dark brown and rusty. So it's like So that's kind of like I think our main thing. Big shit statue.
Okay. Yeah. Were you guys Sharks fans? The hockey team.
Yeah,
it's cool. I always like the Sharks. It's like, why does San Jose have a hockey team?
Like, it is weird.
It's so random.
But it's funny because like the arena just kept getting purchased by different like
sponsors.
Yeah, exactly. It's like every few years it would just change, but like we just called it the Shark Tank. So it's like,
oh, that's cool. Yeah. I always like the Sharks. Yeah, good colors.
Yeah. That's it. So we're known for our sharks. That's it.
Known for the sharks
and earthquakes, I guess.
All right.
But
so the tower, Montparnasse, it sucks.
Real quick, I did find one defense of it in this article.
Oh, okay.
In the words of the architect and urban designer Virginie Picon Lefebvre, one of the main experts called to comment on the building's 50th anniversary, it was really comfortable to work there. So I guess like it's
nice on the inside.
But that's how you describe an ugly person, though. It's like, well, they
Yeah.
got a great personality.
Yeah, it's got a great personality.
There's one other thing. Again, this is more like a backhanded compliment. They're describing the building. That floor is occupied by a panoramic observation deck, which offers the most expansive view of Paris from above, and more important, the only such view that doesn't show the Tour Montparnasse itself. That oft-heard joke repurposes a similarly waspish remark attributed to the playwright, blah, blah. But it's like, yeah, like the great thing about going to that building is that you don't get to see it.
Yeah, you don't have to look at it. That's good.
Oh man, French humor. But yeah, so stop making ugly buildings.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd just be nice if more buildings were made with, like something that's going to last and people are going to be proud of, and not just something that's, practical.
One other thing about the article I want to bring up is, so I don't know if it was the author that was bringing this up or if they were just citing what somebody else was thinking, was that the way to justify the building's existence there is to build similarly styled buildings around it, so at least it doesn't seem like it's just sticking out of nowhere. What do you think of that? Where it's like,
sucks. I think that's terrible advice, and I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, because I understand the logic behind it, but it's also like I don't know the surrounding neighborhoods. I would not be surprised if it was like, no, it's either like low income housing, or it's home to bohemian artists, or it's home to something useful and cultural. Maybe we shouldn't destroy all that just so we can justify this ugly piece of shit.
I mean, you can make like beautiful modern buildings. Like a lot of Asia and the Middle East has like nice skyscrapers, like that are iconic and not just, like, again, I don't think, like, I think the architects of and designers of the tower weren't like, I thought they believed it would be awesome. Yeah. Like, I don't think they were like, oh no, this is gonna be like an office building and we're making an investment back. Like, no, I think they believed that staying power, and was going to be like a integral part of the Parisian skyline. Again, I don't want to be like, oh, you're Paris, you shouldn't care about that stuff. Like, no, if you need offices, you need shopping, you need housing, you have to build things. I just wish that there was like, just do it well, like do it to keep Paris beautiful, where other cities just need to do it to make the space.
When you came to LA, we did not go to the Bradbury building. Are you familiar with that in LA?
Describe it. What's that?
So it's been featured in a bunch of movies and TV shows. It's been around since like the late 1800s. It was most famously used in Blade Runner, which is a plug for a future episode. But if I were to send you a still from Blade Runner, you'd be like, oh, I've seen that building in a bunch of movies and TV shows. But anyway, it's this building from, it's in downtown LA, and it was built like the late 1800s, sort of like proto Art Deco, just a lot of metal and wood, and like these really cool railings. And I went there for some after party thing earlier this year, I think. And it's like, I'm glad that they've preserved it. Yeah. If you look at the Bradbury building, like
Bradbury, like the writer.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It has nothing to do with him, but that's what's
Let me see.
Like the inside specifically.
So it's the Bradbury building. Okay. It's like a short, fat building.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But the inside there, with like all like the
inside.
Yeah. Specifically, the inside is what's most famous. If you type in Bradbury building Blade Runner, the famous shot.
Oh, the inside's in Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, this is dope. What is this?
Well, right now it's I'm glad I like the purpose of it. It's more like shared office, like you can rent it out for creative purposes. You can create it. So I like that. It still has a sort of creative bent to it. Yeah, it's just a really cool ass building. I'm sure you'd love it.
O.J. Simpson purchased a stiletto there that figured in his murder trial.
Oh, whoa. That's cool.
Yeah, this is very cool. I really like this building.
Yeah.
I'm such a slut for cast iron.
Oh yeah, you would love this building.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, inside, like it's modern. Like they definitely renovated, but they still kept a more sort of 1920s look to it. Like a lot of the tiles.
Oh, here it is,
black and white. Yeah.
Oh, they probably use this for. Yeah, I think I know what they use this for. when they go to what's his name's house. Anyway, yeah. Well, my favorite city is New Orleans, which is like one of the most recognizable cities.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's so dumb when they film a movie there and it's like, this is Chicago. It's like, no, it's fucking not. Like, why would you film in New Orleans and not use New Orleans and just like use any other city?
Right.
But yeah, this building's sweet. We have to go there. So put that next time in LA. This, Quentin Tarantino's theater. Yeah, I'm making a list. Not to give you give you grief. You showed me around everywhere. It's very nice. I appreciate that.
Too much to see.
I did love the Venice Canals.
Oh yeah.
That was so cool.
The Venice Canals there, yeah.
It also made me just hate all of them. Be like,
I know.
I should live here instead. You don't appreciate it.
We don't. But the Bradbury Bone's super cool. That like they had like this old timey like 1920s bar there. Like,
love that.
And it's like all the tiles like black and white squares and all this wrought iron. So it was a cool little thing. But it's I'm glad that at least some old buildings are still like, we can modernize it, but we can still retain some aspects of what made it great.
Well, you have to renovate shit. Like, it has to be safe. You can't have shit falling apart. But like you said, doing it in the style, like it's a sin when things like I sent you like a month or two ago, I sent you something that was like a diner in LA.
That's right. Yeah.
Sort of like, it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that was so iconic. That was mid-century modern. That's like what Wildwood's like. Yeah. And like we went to this, while it's one of those places that knows itself. Like we went to this bar, Schellenberger's, I think it's called, or Schellinger's, and it's just like marine stuff everywhere and boats and whales and anchors and all that. It's like, that's why I come here. Like I love that shit. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Like this is what people come for. They come for the boardwalk and the games, and they come for the architecture. And it's very fun. Like that's one of the things I just love about the Jersey Shores. You get places like that. Like not every place is a shithole like you see on Jersey Shore, where it's just like people fighting and there's no character. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of parts of the shore are like even places where my family lives. So a lot of it is just looking the exact same because it's all about maximizing rental space to rent out to week, 2 week, 1 week long vacationers, and a lot of it looks the exact same. But I'm like, man, there are some parts of these towns I'm like, let's keep this. Like, don't change this, because this is like what it used to look like, and it's very, very cool. Right. But I also get it's like, okay, it's an investment. Fine. Like, turn into a 3-story, with the same balconies and the same parking and the same. And it just all looks fucking like this is boring.
Yeah. Absolutely. But so one thing that we did see, and it kind of reminds me of this, is that we saw the Michael Jackson Thriller house. And it's because it was on a street that was very Victorian, but like that was all preserved except for the Michael Jackson house. Like that was the one that was run down.
Like what the fuck? Like no one. It was kind of jarring. $1 for the jarring jar. Yeah, I stole that, by the way, from another podcast. Oh. But it was like this isn't like a landmark. Like how?
Yeah, you think this would be like the crown jewel of this?
It's Victorian... not just they filmed a music video there. It's Thriller.
Yeah,
exactly. Like they filmed Thriller. It wasn't
like the most famous music video of all time. Like
yes, like what the fuck?
Yeah,
that street is very cool because that is something that's cool about LA. It's like that street could be any street USA.
Yeah.
Like that's what's very cool. That could be a John Hughes movie in Chicago. Yeah, that could be.
New England street.
And like obviously you can't make it like Kansas because there's like hill and stuff like that. Yeah. You can take out some of the palm trees. Like that could be probably somewhere in New England. That could be New Jersey. Yeah. A few places it can't be, but that could be Texas. Like that could be Houston.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
That was very cool. Weird that LA is like that.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, oh my God, Beverly Hills.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Where am I?
Yeah.
Like, it is this oasis in the city. What the fuck? It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
See that brown sign, and all of a sudden it's like, there's grass?
Yeah. It's so funny. So there's one place I volunteer at sometimes. Like it's like the most stereotypical like downtown LA, like homeless street, like just like like it looks like Skid Row, like it's just run down and it's but funnily enough, the street is called Hope Street. And so it's just like when you see Hope Street, oh yeah, and then it's just like homeless encampments and it's garbage.
What do you do there?
This place called I think it's called St. Francis Center, and it's like it's a food distribution center for like low income families and stuff. So
I didn't know you do that.
I do it like once a month.
That's the Jesuit in you.
I know, yeah. No matter how atheist I become, there's still like that missionary thing.
Now you just have to go finger a little boy.
Which I'm not going to do, internet.
Obviously, god damn it.
It's just these memes, like the sort of TikTok memes, like so many of them like involve like somebody making a joke about like an adult male being attracted to like a 12-year-old girl, but it always cuts off just before. Yeah, you're like, oh, I get the joke, but it's like I'm gonna cut out just before I get kicked off of TikTok. Like,
yeah, I'm just kidding, by the way, with the Catholic shit. I can praise it and make fun of it.
Yeah.
I can do that because I'm Catholic.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But so you want to talk about this other thing?
Let's talk about this other thing.
Yeah.
Hit me with it. I sent you this.
Yeah. The artist's muse has no place in modern culture.
Dun, dun, dun. I was surprised this was written by a dude.
Yeah. I was reading. I was like, oh, this is a woman, right? And I was like, oh, it's a dude.
Wait, is this dude that she's not going to have sex with you of the week?
Oh, that's right. You tagged me on that. I forgot.
No, that was a different one. That was a different one.
Yeah.
That was the guy being like, it's fine for Mia Khalifa to give marriage advice. You have I was like, dude, she's not gonna sleep with you.
Yeah.
She's like, give it a rest. And then he gave like some terrible advice. And I was like, it was like some guy obviously was being dramatic. It's like, oh, so it's okay for a woman to, leave a guy because it's marriage is paperwork and then he has to pay child support and Monday, Wednesday and all that. And he's like, this is what you sign up for in a marriage. It's like, LOL, no, it's not. Like, that's not what you're signing up for at all. Yeah. That could be an externality of a divorce, but it's not why you sign up for in a marriage at all. That's just like, if you're the dude and the woman decides to leave, that you just have to live this way. Like, again, that was my original. She's not gonna sleep with you of the week. This might be the new one, Ben Lawrence. She's not gonna sleep with you of the week. So I guess I'll lead this one.
Yeah.
Sent it to you. I just saw Muse. I was like, Joe. Yeah. The artist Muse. Oh yeah, you read that one. Okay. So basically, I don't know who a lot of these people are, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
I know obviously some of them. So this is kind of your typical. What's that word? Not retconning, like revisionist.
Yes.
Look, it's like, why can't we just? First of all, is this an issue anymore?
Yeah.
Like, is this a thing? Does that like any like women have like opportunity and rights and all? Like if any woman's just kind of hang out with an artist, do I think she's doing because she wants it? Like she likes him or thinks he's cool or is having a good time? Like what that like I think this relationship was fairly transactional. Yeah, there were some that apparently Leonard Cohen, he says, I used to love Leonard Cohen's I used to love Leonard Cohen's So Long Marianne, but I think she have quotes there, but has been soured by what I later read about his treatment of sometime partner Marianne Island. Cohen regularly abandoned her to the point that it nearly destroyed her. Like that's just being a shitty boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like I don't get. So first of all, we're called the Reckless Musecast. You created the Reckless Muse. What's your definition of a muse? I guess is where we should start.
Yeah, well, so I started off kind of for me, like the muse represented like just like pure creativity and imagination. And so to me, like, when I first started writing these sort of heterodox articles on Medium, kind of criticizing like identitarian crap creeping into, music and film and literature and all that stuff. Even though I was criticizing all this radical stuff, I also didn't want it to come off like it was a conservative outlet. I didn't want it to, and so I was like, no, how about we just get rid of politics, like not like identity politics and partisan crap creep into art, and let's just go back to using arts as a form of personal expression. And so to me, like the muse was just, I guess it was just sort of like the personification of imagination that's uncorrupted by politics or religion or ideology, and it's just pure creativity. And so that's why for longtime readers, a lot of imagery featured like sort of provocative images of women. It's like, it's like the idea of like this imagination be represented by like this wild, not necessarily sexual, maybe sort of seductive woman, but just uncaged. And so that's why. So there's some imagery. It was all just stock photos that I use, but I just thought it was like an interesting kind of raw, potent image to link to creativity and imagination.
I see. So you're a misogynist.
Exactly.
Anyway, so the Muses were a Greek mythology thing, like most shit. I'm a big fan of Greek mythology.
Yeah.
I wrote a book about Dionysus, my third book, The Neon God. You can get it on Amazon or my website. So he says here, the Muses in Greek mythology were goddesses in charge of their own destinies, figures of female capability. Euterpe, I don't know if that's a pronounce it. The muse of lyric poetry is said to have invented the flute. The shape, the instrument, the shape of a penis. But and in New Orleans, actually, one of the big parades, Mardi Gras parades, is Muses. I think that's actually the first one I ever went to.
Really?
I still have a cup from it. Yeah, so it's like a very much a empowered. Like they're not going to have any like not empowered kind of parades anymore. Like right. the white slavery parade. They're not going to do that.
The Dixie Crap parade.
Yeah, the Dixie Crap parade. But yeah, and a lot of them are fun. Actually, a lot of parades are like very like some of the, and they make fun of everyone, which is great. But a lot of the I'm like satirical and anyway. Actually, Jerry Springer was the head of one of the. I don't know if he was Muses. I can't remember, but I saw it. I was like, holy shit, Jerry.
Yeah, that's cool.
So anyway, somewhere along the line, this is the author. The idea of the muse became distorted. She became merely an inspiration, shut out of the masculine world of creativity. Society, as ever, is to blame. The incredible achievements in fine art from 1450 to the mid-20th century were not matched by any such progress in gender parity. Is that true?
I don't know. It just seems like a really stupid, myopic way of looking at.
It didn't get. Hold on, I just read that and it registered. It didn't get better for women from the 1450s to the 1950s.
I guess what they're saying.
Is that
500 years?
Hold on, I'm going to reread that sentence.
Yeah.
The incredible achievements in fine art. So basically, the Renaissance to like the 1950s, right? From 1450 to the mid 20th century were not matched by any progress in gender parity. Is that gender parity in art or is that gender parity in like society? I don't know. Anyway, it sounds dumb.
Yeah.
And then he gives some other examples here, yada yada.
Yeah.
So the Muses were like basically it came into, I guess if you're gonna, the stereotype would be like the manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah.
Right. Like you've heard of that stereotype. I actually want to write a book called the White Savior, the Magical Negro, and the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, about just like a book of tropes.
Yeah.
And I thought that'd be a funny title. But yeah, so it's basically just turned into like the, she's just there for the male artists, kind of pleasure and inspiration. And then when he's done with her, he just kind of finds another, and she hasn't achieved anything for herself. Well, I mean, is she an artist? Like if she's an artist, then she can make her own art. And if not, I mean, there's a lot of other societal just or like relationship issues going on there. Like, are you in a relationship or are you merely inspiration? Like, I don't know. That seems like it's more than just like, I don't think the artist tells her that she's the muse. Like, I'm going to be done with you. I think, but basically, I think that this whole thing is, I think muse might be more of like a retroactive attribution to someone, like ascribing it to someone, not just like, I don't think in the moment. I think in the moment it's artists having fun, and being inspired and enjoying each other. And I feel like there's this idea that like artists are just doing art all day, and like no, they're having pillow talk. If it's sexual,
yeah,
they're having pillow talk, and I think usually it is. They're drinking coffee, they're drinking wine, maybe this is all just romantic, but they're like arguing sometimes. Like that can cause inspiration. They're fighting, they're cheating,
right?
They're all these other things. I don't think it's just like the male gaze looking at his like shapely, supply young woman and just like painting her. Like,
Exactly.
I don't think that's really what's going on.
Yeah. I know Tarantino referred to her name escapes me now.
Uma?
Yeah, Uma Thurman as his muse.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's
okay.
That's a pretty rare instance of like.
But here's the thing. Sorry,
yeah.
Well, so he addresses that, but the counter to that, even to like Quentin saying that, right? But Uma Thurman is an actor.
Yes.
So she is creating her own art, where a director creates art and an actor, and it's a interdependent kind of relationship. So she gets to be a famous actress.
Yes.
And actually probably more recognizable. Well, Tarantino is extremely recognizable because he's Tarantino, but the vast majority of the time the actors are the recognizable ones, and even the wealthier ones. And like, so it's not, and this writer does say that. I forget who he's talking about. But he does. He's actually talking about male muses here, where he says De Niro, what was De Niro Scorsese's muse, and then he kind of jettisoned him for DiCaprio. But it's like, but DiCaprio's like the most recognizable celebrity in Hollywood. Like one of like A-list celebrities. So De Niro. Like, so no, it's not the same as just like the young runaway from the country, or who's the attractive girl from the neighborhood who latches onto the artist, or the artist snatches, let's say, out of the neighborhood and then just kicks her to the curb when he's done. Like, no, Uma Thurman's extremely wealthy and successful, and right. So and
she played just as big of a part in she was the bride. Like, she's like those posters are very iconic of her in the yellow suit with the sword. So it's like, she's a kick-ass character. It's not like, of course, she's just a creation of Tarantino. It's like, well, she embodied that that vision. But I mean, there were parts of this article that I thought made kind of an interesting point, but for the most part it does what so much of identitarian identity politics does, which is like we're going to take something that exists in society that has existed in society for a long time, and we're going to focus on this one narrow sliver of this thing that's a little problematic. And we use that to paint the whole thing. It's like, so the idea of the muse, it's like, yeah, sure. Like, there have been plenty of male artists who probably were not that great towards their female muses, but they probably didn't even regard them necessarily as female muses, as their muses. But yeah, rock stars can be jerks though. So I don't really see how like we need to use a handful of examples of that and be like, yeah, the concept of the muse needs to be completely rethought and reevaluated in 21st century. So I don't know. It just seemed kind of like a dumb thing to focus on. I think it's just a slow week in women's rights.
Yeah, I mean, how many songs are written about women? Like, how many songs are titles of just like how many song titles are just women's names? And it's like, are those guys married to all those women? Like, I don't know, maybe some of them. Yeah, but have you draw inspiration from your relationships and what's around you? And it just seems like a very antiquated kind of romantic relationship that maybe wasn't even as strong then. It sounds like he plucked a few examples that were very profound and like were clear to this definition of the artist and the muse, and just decided to retroactively cancel it and get it published in the Telegraph.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So speaking of the muses though, there is this I've used this title for a few different short screenplay ideas, but I do have some ideas for a horror film that treats the muse in a more horrific, it treats it in a more demonic sense, and it was inspired by a quote from Plato, and I love it. So you know how much I love evocative titles, evocative movie titles.
Yes.
And so the
evoke me, baby.
Yeah. So the one that I got from Plato here, that I'm using as a title is A Third Kind of Madness. I'm like, oh, that's such a cool title for something. And so I'll read the quote because it's actually pretty cool. There is also a third kind of madness, which is possession by the Muses, enters into a delicate and virgin soul, and their inspiring frenzy awakens lyric. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like to me, like that just screams, demonic possession. Like this, so like,
Heck yes.
Yeah.
So in for my book, I did a lot of research on Greek mythology, and I read Edith Hamilton's Greek mythology. It's kind of like one of the tomes of mythology, and so Dionysus, they all had cults, a lot of these Greek gods, and that that meant something then than it means now. And there was this group of women called the Maenads who would like literally go nuts when they would like sing for Dionysus, like ripping animals apart, and I kind of played that up in my book to like this is sort of like a type of possession or a frenzy, like a fury, a frenzy. And that let's say that becomes a problem in the book, Joe. It's an issue for the people of New Orleans. these frantic women running around. Get a life, Maenads.
Oh man. I hate this the last sentence in this article. Otherwise, there is no place for the muse in the 21st century. In a week, when Greta Gerwig's Barbie has taken on the patriarchy, it's time to move on.
Okay, let's finish. Hold on. I want to finish talking about Barbie. I think we might be a little late. I did see it.
How was it?
It was good. Let me. I want to talk about. I want to finish with this because I want to read the paragraph before. Okay. So here's why I think he kind of sinks this. Well, I don't want to say sinks his point here, but this is distinction. So if there's one muse who should be celebrated in terms of what she achieved in that specific role, it is Elena Diakonova, otherwise known as Gala Dali. For more than 50 years, she proved a constant source of inspiration to her surrealist husband, whose fear of vaginas meant that they probably never had sex. You and me both, brother. When she died in 1982, Salvador's creativity floundered. Proof that if the relationship between artist and muse must exist, it should be about collaboration, not control. So, I mean, but Gala Dali was not a muse for Salvador Dali. It was his fucking wife. Like for 50 years, like they just had a loving, amazing relationship that they inspired each other. And that's like the most beautiful thing you can ask for.
Right.
And in a marriage, right? They were married, right?
Yeah, I think so. Well, she's got his last name, so I assume.
Yeah, they were married. Like that's all. It's not a muse.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. I just thought.
Yeah, it's the author's operating from a weird definition of the muse because, like, there was.
Yeah.
I can't remember which famous jazz icon, but it was like he was living in New York City in the 1950s, and he would use the rhythm of traffic sounds from his balcony to inspire music. So it's like, oh, does that mean that New York City, Greenwich Village was his muse?
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, it just happened to be there. It just happened to inspire him. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Barbie for a sec.
Yeah.
We have some minutes left.
Yeah.
We have a few of these here minutes. So okay. You have not seen it, right?
Correct.
And I'm sure you've heard some of the discussions about it.
Yes, I have.
Well, here's my take on Barbie. I'm going to read my review because I wrote it. But it's a fun movie. Like it's enjoyable. I saw it in theater, so it's a fun movie experience. It is lecturing and preachy at times. It's also very funny at times. Ryan Gosling steals the show.
I heard he was good.
He's great. And I actually heard some great critiques of the movie where it's like Gosling is the main character of this. Like he has the arc. He has like the changes. Barbie's one-dimensional. But anyway, I'm going to read it. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm
going to cut it out anyway, so that's fine.
Right, we'll cut this. Okay. So I gave it an 81, so very, very good. Okay. Barbie's Animal Farm, where the oppressed become the oppressors and back again. with a message that doesn't seem to reflect the world around us and falls flat where it could have been codependently empowering. However, it's also immensely enjoyable, nice to look at, and very funny, something that's a rarity in big-budget movies nowadays. Read the last 10 years or so. Barbie, Margot Robbie, lives with too many other Barbies to count. Kate McKinnon, Issa Rae, Hari Neff, to name a few, in a matriarchal society called Barbie Land, where the Kens and other male dolls really don't exist for any reason whatsoever. Barbie, the one you know, aka stereotypical Barbie, is afflicted with an existential crisis that forces her to embark on a self-discovery hegira before succumbing to ontological mind poison. Ken, Ryan Gosling, goes with her. When Barbie starts to find some answers, Ken starts to find some bros and swan dives into a dude's rock montage called the patriarchy. Drink every time someone says patriarchy and you'll go blind. The thing is, the Los Angeles of the real world is just as superficial as Barbie Land. No boardrooms or gyms or office buildings look like that anymore and haven't for a while. By that, I mean, like, basically almost all men and almost all white men. Gloria America Ferrara gives a speech lamenting the travails of women, some of which feel legit, some misplaced, others merely concerning being a human. At the end of the speech in my packed, sold-out theater, where many were draped in pink for the occasion, I was expecting uproarious applause and cheers. Instead, silence. We've been lectured to for the last 7 to 10 years. Get back to the fun already. I can already tell this speech is going to be the talk of many a social media screed, and all I'll say is every point she's pontificating could have just been shown to us. The movie, excuse me, the movie's at its best when it's showing and not telling. How great is that advice? And to put it bluntly, this was lazy. Men are a punching bag in this one, but some of us are into that. The biggest blind spot comes from the obvious Barbie critique concerning body image. However, there's shot after literal navel-gazing shot of Gosling's washboard here without a hint of irony, where the movie could have excelled by accurately showing that the patriarchy isn't good for anyone, okay, maybe a select few, and that it puts unrealistic expectations on men and women alike, and instead tells men that they need to simply wait their turn. Again, Gosling is fantastic in this movie and, ironically, is the far more fleshed-out lead character. Moreover, Will Ferrell as the Mattel CEO is perfectly cast. Ferrell doesn't need to be a lead anymore, and, at least for the last decade or so, is at his best when he has 3 to 4 laugh-out-loud lines sprinkled with a pinch of physical comedy. Same goes for McKinnon, who is one of the most underutilized actresses in the biz. This review reads more negative than the high 81 I'm giving it, but it really was an enjoyable summer movie experience. Barbie chooses the path to quote-unquote real womanhood with a funny but surprising directorial choice of having her visit a gynecologist for the first time. For in the distance, protests. So yeah, it was funny that, like, her choosing to be, oh, by the way, spoiler alert, her choosing to be human and, like, be a woman sends her, like, she ends going to a gynecologist, which is like, have we not been told that, like, you don't need a vagina to be a woman?
Yeah.
You don't need a uterus to be a woman or whatever those things are. Icky. But yeah, so it's one of those movies that it, like, didn't need to say what it was trying to say. It could have just been the movie. And a good example I also had in that same chunk of reviews was they cloned Tyrone, which also has, some social commentary. Yeah. But it's not like they don't lecture, they don't give speeches. It just, like, shows it. It's just like they're cloning black people and trying to whitewash them. Like, we get it. We don't need someone getting on a soapbox, like, yelling about, and it's actually just very well done. Yeah. Yeah, Barbie. I think the talk of it is kind of dying down, and this will come out next week. But it was good, and okay. I'm glad to see something else, like stuff that's big at the box office. That's not just multi-universes. And I recommend it.
Well, savor that break, buddy, because looking at the Marvel Studios pipeline.
What's coming down the pike?
Let's see. We got Rise of the Multiverse, Multiverse Strikes Back, Revenge of the Multiverse.
I was gonna say, are you serious?
No. The multiverse is the big overarching theme for the next 3 to 5 years, I think. So,
Well, I will not
but hey.
be. I will not be multi-viewing those.
No.
We will not
did
be
you hear
multiversing about them on the show.
I, however, will be multi-verking off over it. Did you see that? Did you hear about the new Transformers movie? How it sets up crossover with G.I. Joe?
No, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Are those things? Are those things that touch?
Yeah. I don't know.
Do those things touch?
Probably.
Why can't things just be? Why does everything have to like? Everything just has to be like a fucking commercial.
Yeah.
For the other thing.
Well,
just make shit and then make something else.
Yeah, it's so funny when you see like non-narrative like franchises and properties going into the narrative world. It's like, remember we had like that Battleship movie that was
I read an article about Mattel and all that. It's like, oh my god,
Hasbro, all these guys.
Oh, is that Hasbro?
It's one of those toy and game companies, but it's just like Mattel. Like that's what we need, like the extended, Mattel universe.
Who has a hankering for that?
Exactly.
Multiverse of gayness. Everyone, the multiverse of gayness. Everyone's just gay. Like all like gay Captain America, gay Store. What I don't know. I can't even name another character. Gay Ant-Man,
Captain Gay.
Multiverse of gayness. All
right.
You.
Well, I gotta get going because the
What
gates at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh my god!
I know.
All right, what are you seeing again?
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh,
and LA Philharmonic. Yeah.
Oh, so they play while the movie's showing.
It's cool because like most of the music. Well, all the music is classical music, so it's also like a classical concert too. So, dude. Okay, so next time you come to LA, we should do the Hollywood Bowl because tickets start like dirt cheap. They start like $6.
What?
Like
That's sweet.
It's crazy. And it's like there's not a bad seat in the house because it's so big and there's so many screens. So it's like just I got the tickets today. I was like, oh, I have some extra time. I'll go to the Hollywood Bowl. Only $16 for a ticket. Okay, cool.
Let's do that. We should do that.
Yeah. If you're busy next week. If you've got some time. Yeah. All right, cool.
You got it. I'll be there.
All right, everybody.
All right, stay reckless. Oh, yeah. Check out our Patreon. I'm not going through it today.
Yeah, check it out.
Like and subscribe, please, and buy some stuff from us. We love it, and we love you.
Yeah.
Stay reckless and fight the crits.
Yeah.